My boldest prediction yet: Donald Trump's fear, his greatest fear, is about to happen. And if you listen to this, you're going to feel 1,000% better knowing that it's very highly likely this could be true. And the irony to it will be absolutely be mind-boggling. I'll give you a hint. It's the revenge of the Empire State. You see, this Epstein stuff has absolutely destroyed everything that he said. I mean, basically between his relationship with Epstein, with Ghislaine Maxwell, even one of his own ambassadors to Turkey. I mean, it's just, and Prince Andrew. It has pointed out so many revealing things. But here's the big thing that I want all of you to pay attention to. There's an opportunity to jail Donald Trump in a way that nobody's talked about on the web but me. And here's how it goes. Donald Trump is in a very interesting season right now. So let's talk about that season. What's happening is you have the GOP gearing up to put this man in impeachment and kick him out. He is on his way out the door. This is the beginning of his end. The administration, no, but of his end, yes. And here's the interesting part about that, ladies and gentlemen. How does he get impeached? Well, he can get impeached by Congress. But what happens after he's not president? Two things are happening. The civil laws coming after him and the criminal laws coming after him. Okay? Now, the civil is obviously, we're going to sue. Right now, the Trump administration has 500 to 700 cases already. As far as the criminal law, who could go after him? I mean, after all, the DOJ wouldn't go after him, would they? No. They wouldn't even touch that with a 10-foot pole, especially with Bondi there. It's not going to happen. And besides, what if they did? If they went after him, of course, J.D. Vance, the new president, would pardon him. So whatever effort they would make, or anybody would make, they can pardon him. But what if there's somebody who couldn't be ignored? Someone who he couldn't get a pardon from. Someone who could hunt him down and kick him in his butt and put him in serious trouble over this Epstein stuff. Now, one thing we've seen for sure, and by the way, there is one thing that we've seen for sure is that in Florida, there is activity he's had with Epstein. But guess what? In New York, there's a good chance he's had with Epstein. And that's just among those 20,000 pieces of documents from the Epstein files, not the smoking gun of the real Epstein files that are coming out because we got the 218th signature and they're about to pull it out there. We're talking about just the light stuff. They're going to catch him, and they're going to catch him in Florida, somewhere traveling around, and New York. Keep paying attention to the word New York. You see, what nobody's talking to you about is the fact that good old Letitia James, who's being indicted, which she's going to, on bullshit charges, and that's going to get knocked off. It ain't even nothing to worry about. Letitia James is still the Attorney General. And Donald Trump has surely had some activity with those minors in New York. You see, what most people don't know when we talk about the history, operation, laws of our government, is that, do you know a president can't pardon anybody convicted by the state? So, is it a far stretch that Letitia James would come for those assets, just like she did before? But this time around, there's all sorts of proof of his criminal behavior inside of New York, and after the impeachments, and they kicked him out of presidency, he does not have immunity. So the state convicts him, and J.D. Vance can't pardon him because presidents, again, cannot pardon state convicted individuals. So there's a chance that the Empire State could come after this man after he's kicked out of office as president, and they pursue this man and come after him on criminal charges. I know we want to say that the election is the reason he get criminal charges, or that grifting is the reason he get charges. Some of you want him dead. I don't. And I don't think that's the way to go. Don't call on death, because when you call on death, sometimes it calls on you. Karma's a bitch. We don't want to go put that badness out in the air. Nor would I ever hint or believe in violence. I don't believe in violence. Any violence on this man makes him a martyr. Why would we put attention on that stuff when all we got to do, all we got to do is bide our time and watch this man with the Epstein files, tear down his presidency, kick him out of presidency. Now he's no longer protected. And who could come for him? The Empire State, Letitia James. We know she's not going to be shy about that. And then, after he's convicted, is there a chance he could go to jail? Yes, this is his worst fear. That all of the stuff that he's done, when he's kicked outside of the presidency, he's no longer protected. And this particular thing, tying in with Epstein, this is beautiful, because it's horrible, but it's beautiful in the sense it's a perfect storm for him, because getting kicked out of the office takes out his immunity and opens him and makes him susceptible to criminal court cases that could pursue the hell out of him based on what he did, especially with pedophiles, these pedophile people that's been involved with, in these minors, especially these victims who rang out and said stuff. So now we have a scenario where the president or former president of the United States getting attacked by the states, or by a state. Florida, I believe their AG, their attorney general, is Republican, may not touch it. I will tell you this, there is a chance that we could get this guy out inside of months, because the more this stuff breaks, the better it becomes. Now, I know some of you are concerned about these 3 wars. He's beefing with Mexico over cartels, he's beefing with Colombia over cartels, and he's beefing with with Venezuela over cartels. Problem is, we all know he's doing that to cover up Epstein now. I've taught for months in my Clarity group, and the link is in the bio and on the homepage, whatever. Here's the thing. I've taught for months with people telling them that every time he comes up with war, like I might bomb Iran, was to get rid of the first No King's Day. And he did it inside of 7 days. It was brilliant. It was brilliant. What I'm trying to get you to understand is this time is Venezuela. This time is Colombia. Hegseth's picking this fight that they don't ever want to go down. Especially Venezuela. Venezuela is allied with Russia and the Chinese. It's just a poor decision. And the rank and staff in the military do not trust Hegseth. And let me tell you, don't trust Trump, of course. And what we're looking at is somebody who's trying to do sideshow. See, I've taught this before in the Clarity group, talking about if you can go through the lies, the manipulation, and you can deal with the brainwashing, you can decode stuff. You can decode the drama and be able to know. You can also go further, even deeper into this by identifying data that works. If you identify the data that works, that's the part that really makes the difference. And the end part of that we got to look at is How do you develop yourselves? Because we only have so much control over democracy. Trump is crumbling. He's afraid that what's going to happen to him is everything he's done to everyone else, because he's a child and he has the mind of a simpleton. And what's going to happen, and he's brilliant in some ways, like I said, idiot savant. But here's the thing. He gets this Epstein stuff ain't going away. It's going to erode and take him away from his presidency. And once his presidency is gone, once that protection's gone, it's open game on this motherfucker. It is open game. And the main group that could get him, the main ones, attorney generals in the state of New York. Because surely he's done something with these minors in New York. And soon as they find out, it's on. I mean, if they got photos of this man with half-naked teenage girls, that doesn't only kick him out of presidency, that does open him up to criminal charges. But of course, again, Bondi, she ain't gonna do nothing. President J.D. Vance ain't gonna do nothing. Not gonna do anything. So what we're talking about is somebody who is gonna do something. And that's gonna be Letitia James. She's coming for those assets, and he's scared to death over it because he can see it. He knows his time is short. His end is near. And he's trying to pull and grasp onto power and strings in any way he can. He's a hustler. He's a hustler, baby. He's pulled these crocodile moves for the last 50 years. Do you realize that? 50 years he's been doing this. Look at that movie, The Apprentice, that he has. It's really a good movie. Really a good movie. Because it points out how Roy Cohn trained this guy to do what he's doing. And this has been his playbook for over 50 years. Since the early 70s. And he's going to continue to do it. See, Trump doesn't care what he says to make you think. He does what he does to make you feel. Whether it be on the right, feel empowered and you're in trouble, or on the left, feel scared to death. Because he knows that whether you're on the right or left, you don't know enough of the history, operation, and laws of our government. That's why people on the right say things like, yeah, the Democrats, they're not fighting for working people. Oh, you mean that time when we tried to get, like minimum wage for you and all the Republicans take it down? Or are you talking about this fight we were just in the middle of a shutdown to try to save 20 million people's health care, as well as 40 million people's SNAP benefits, which put you in the line? You see what I'm saying? They're marketing, and this is coming from 30 years marketing and branding. Marketing the narrative. I worked on Kamala's campaign, part of the engagement team, but I want you to understand, it's marketing the narrative. They don't care about the movement. They don't care about the politics. They care about the marketing of the movement and the politics. Put another way is that they can intelligently tell you they're doing a great job while fucking it up. And this is a mistake. I'm here in Chicago. This was a mistake that even Brandon Johnson said, I wish I had communicated more to people when I became mayor. This is what I hope, and we all hope, that Mamdani does. He communicates the same way he was doing in the campaigns, even better. Because if you stick your head down and grind and just get to work and don't communicate with the people, your opponents are going to outmarket you, especially in the Republican circles. They're great at going to tell people what they're doing. They are. They're brilliant. Brilliant. But they are piss poor when it comes to actually doing it. Think about it. The most gangster, one of the most gangster, and probably the first one that Trump said was, I'm going to build a wall and make the Mexicans pay for it. Wow. The current president of Mexico's predecessor won his election when he clapped back and said, we ain't paying for shit. But what's interesting is that they only built 3% of the wall, yet they still gave him credit for that. When it was time to send out the checks for COVID, he made sure that he delayed that. And it was the Democrats who set up getting out the checks for COVID. But he made sure that he had his name on those checks. So when the next election came up, they remembered Trump sent them checks. Not knowing that it wasn't Trump, it was the Democratic Party that Trump put his name on, because he's not interested in the movement or the politics. He's interested in the marketing of the movement or the politics. You get what I'm saying here? The power that Trump has, even though his greatest fear is that he's going to let this Epstein thing destroy him, tear him down, and he'll be susceptible to Letitia James to get that ass. That's his greatest fear. But understand, his greatest talent is marketing and branding in a way, as an idiot savant, the way he did No Kings. The first No Kings he came up with, I might bomb Iran and get rid of it. So can the old dog get around this one? Seems unlikely. Seems very unlikely. But I tell you this, we need to watch this man like a hawk. Watch him like a hawk. Don't get upset, don't get mad, but just watch him like a hawk. Because if he's trying to squirm, the thing we have to do, and this is what not enough of us on the left understand, we have to market it. Well, Darren, I don't know nothing about marketing. How do I market? Just forwarding this video, sharing other people who have perspective on the left, not just breaking news. Breaking news, you're just a parrot. But if you're giving a perspective of what that means, that's when you're on time. You're giving analysis, context, assessment, like what you're getting here. What I want you to understand is that the more that, and the good news is there are tens of millions of us. If we just do that, there are already millions of people contacting Congress, contacting our governors and attorney generals, and working with nonprofits. And I've said all of that stuff, but the thing we need now is better marketing of the narrative. We're dealing with narrative warfare. I teach that in my clarity group every Tuesday. Narrative warfare. And what we have to do is take on the narrative warfare. We have to fight the fight. We have to step up. We have to get involved. You know, these days, I know there are older people in Generation X and Generation Boomer who are upset with social media. They don't like social media. But let me tell you, these days, if you don't like social media, you don't like democracy. Because that's where Trump is. That's where the right is. But it's not just them. That's where the left is. I want you to understand, this is where our fight can get, to get our narrative and our word out there and what's really true. And it's so important to do that. It's really important. And I want all of you to get involved with that. We're still in this fight, even after Trump is out the door. But even though let's say Trump's greatest fear hits him, Letitia's hitting him, he gets some jail time, we still got J.D. Vance. We still have the Heritage Foundation. Now, they're at a weakness with J.D. Vance as president. The GOP Congress is going to hit back and fight back more because they know he doesn't have the pull that Trump has. The MAGA base don't necessarily like J.D. Vance and don't like the fact that they defended this whole Epstein crap. So there is a lot of good things happening here, but I just want you to deeply take in your mind and understand the bigger picture that's taking place. Even as he gets to his greatest fear, our greatest focus has to be handling the narrative to get videos out, and also understanding that this is still part of the process. You know, when we had that election a week or so ago, and people got mad at me when I said, listen, great election, but we need to stop celebrating, start focusing. Oh, we can't even have 24 hours. No, bitch, we can't. We can't. Y'all got to stop. Y'all got to understand. Well, if we don't keep focused, they, as in the right, work on a 24/7 news cycle. They are gangster, and their leader is gangster. They learned his ways. They're doing everything they can. That's why Hex is trying to provoke wars to get a side note to ignore Epstein, the gerrymandering situation, and the No Kings. And the audacity that they have in gerrymandering, that the DOJ is suing the state of California to stop the Prop 50. wait a minute, you guys kicked this off in Texas, and now you're trying to stop us from clapping back. This is the place we're at right now. They would rather do that instead of deal with releasing those files. I want you to understand it's going to be okay. And yes, his greatest fear could happen. It's a good chance it could happen. But even after the fear, we still got to remain focused. Because it ain't over. We got 166 weeks of this. We just survived 42 weeks of this. And don't beat yourself up. We're doing a hell of a lot better. Not just with Epstein, but everything else. I mean, the shutdown was a disappointment last weekend for sure. But the good news out of that is that it opened up the door to Epstein. It did. You know, it's called the law of polarity. It's not all bad, but it's not all good. So we getting, you know, we taking the licks, taking the hits, but we're going forward. That's what it really means. We're going to hang in there together. Make sure you watch my next video.